There's a massive new building under construction in the city of Bluffdale, Utah. Population just 7,500 people. It's a $2 billion project commissioned by the National Security Agency, complete with heavy fortifications, surveillance, and top secret clearance. The building, officially being recognized under the innocuous name the Utah Data Center, is expected to be completed by late summer 2013. But what exactly is it? What's going to be going on within the top secret walls of this $2 billion Utah data center? The answer, apparently, surveillance. But not just surveillance. We're talking the biggest spy center this nation has ever seen. And if you use the internet, talk on the phone, check out books from your library, then you might want to be very concerned about this so-called data center or spy center under construction in Utah. Here to explain why is James Bamford, investigative journalist and author of numerous books, including The Shadow Factory. James, welcome.
Thanks very much, Tom.
I have to say, your book, The Puzzle Palace, was, for me, one of, in fact, I had you on my radio show after it came out. It's just in any case, you do some marvelous, marvelous work.
Thank you.
And so what is going on in Utah?
Well, as you mentioned, it's actually the largest spy center in American history. It's 1 million square feet, costs $2 billion. It'll be able to hold maybe up to a yottabyte worth of data, which if you measure that out in pages, it would be basically 200 quintillion pages of text. So
200
NSA,
quintillion?
200, or actually 500 quintillion pages of text, but
this is more than enough to reach from here to the moon.
Many, many, many times over. Yeah, it's an enormous data center, and that's what NSA needs to have to put all the information it collects. It eavesdrops on enormous amounts of communications all over the world, including in the United States, and it needs some place to put it, and that's what will be NSA's cloud. In other words, all the data will go in there, and then NSA, from its headquarters and listening posts around the world and in the United States, will be able to access it.
You know, in terms of international spying and analysis, I don't think most Americans are going to get real upset about that. In fact, they might be gratified that there's somebody in the United States government is paying attention to what's going on in the rest of the world. But domestic spying, didn't there used to be this firewall that, you know, the FBI could do domestic work, the CIA and the NSA had to do international work? How did the NSA get into the domestic surveillance business?
Well, NSA has almost always been in the domestic surveillance business illegally from the time it was born in 1952.
Illegal?
Illegal from, like I said, the time it was born in 1952 until mid-70s. When it was discovered, NSA had been illegally eavesdropping on every single telegram coming in and going out of the country. And then in the late 70s, NSA was sort of put on a leash. There was an organization called the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court created that NSA had to submit to in order to eavesdrop within the United States. And that worked fine up until President Bush decided to bypass the FISA court, bypass the one sort of buffer between the NSA and the American public, and do warrantless eavesdropping for a number of years until it was exposed by the New York Times. And then Congress largely ratified that and watered down the protections from the FISA court, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. And that's where we are today. The NSA is getting bigger, the protections are getting weaker.
And what does this mean, this center and this trend that you just described, for individual privacy in the United States, for people who are not, I don't even want to say politically active, people who are not involving themselves in anything that might remotely be considered terrorism?
Well, you don't have to. I mean, look at the watch list. They had up to somewhere around 1 million names on it. Most of them, probably 85, 90%, were wrong names or mistakes. Ted Kennedy was on there for almost 4 months before he could get off it.
I always figured that was just some malicious clerk put him on.
No, there's all kinds of innocent people that are on that list, and you never know. You know, you might not be at the level where you're bumped off a plane, but you're still on the list, so you never know. You don't get the Small Business Administration loan. It might be because you're on that list. Your child doesn't get into Annapolis or West Point because you don't know why, but it may be because they checked the list and mistakenly you're on that list. So average people do have something to worry about. They don't have to be, you know, Osama bin Laden or terrorists, but they do have some concerns.
A new type of blacklist or red list, as it were. Remarkable. James Bamford, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
My pleasure, Tom.
And for the great work and great writing and research you're doing.
Appreciate it. Thanks.